So I started reading this book that it gives a overview of the Bhagavad Gita. Gives you like the backstory and tells you who the characters are, because the characters' names change. And it's very interesting how the beginning of it and the intention of it and all this stuff is like what my intention is with Renegade Yogi and all that. It's just to lead people back to their own divinity. And the Bhagavad Gita is set in a war. That's the backdrop, the setting. The setting is war. And it's very cool. Anyway, I never read it before. It's in that song, Superman and Green Mountain Ain't Got Nothing on Me and all that, in the Bhagavad Gita, baby. So, what do I want to say? So with my personal story, growing up in a family that was politically divided all my life, and being so frustrated by that, and being so frustrated by the fighting, and ruining holidays and ruining beautiful meals that someone worked really hard at. I just thought it was so pointless and senseless, whatever, but it didn't seem like anybody else was having that. I mean, we weren't really talking about that stuff. And now, in 2019, everything is so political, everything is so fighty, and politics is the new religion, and there's fanaticism. And that's what was cool about the Bhagavad Gita was, find that piece, because it's, what's his name, one of the poets. Bear with me. Whosoever comes to me through whatsoever form I reach him. All men are struggling through paths which in the end lead to me, which is everybody dies, kind of. And it seems like some people don't understand that all men includes women. So when they used to write stuff, all men, it just meant humanity, and woman, man, all men includes women, are struggling through paths which in the end lead to me, which is death. You go back to spirit. So sectarianism, bigotry, and its horrible descendant, fanaticism, have long possessed this beautiful earth. They have filled the earth with violence, drenched it often and often with human blood, destroyed civilization, and sent whole nations to despair. Had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. But their time has come, and I fervently hope that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention, and he's talking about, sadly, he's talking about September 1893 in Chicago. A young Hindu addressed the World Parliament of Religions and brought the awareness of the Hindu scripture, including the Bhagavad Gita, to 7,000 people. And his name was Swami Vivekananda. So that was September 1893. And he was saying, hopefully the bell that tolled this morning, in honor of this convention, may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecutions with the sword or with the pen, and of all uncharitable feelings between persons wending their way to the same goal. Okay, so this is relevant to me because I feel like, we're all love, and we all want the peaceful, loving world. And we see people fighting their way to try and get this goal. Megan, the soccer player, you know, more love, less hate, and she's got her arms up in the victory sign. More love, less hate, as she says, as she's just a preacher of hate. And it's like, and they just don't see. And I have a video where I took up, my daughter was laughing at me because I said, if it weren't for you and your brother, you know, if it weren't for me having children, and when I go, I'm gone, I would just have a chunk of ocean front property and an Airstream, and I would live out my days simply. I just meditate, have my animals, just live simply. But I'm actually in the world doing something, because I have kids and I'm going to be giving them a world, and I don't feel good about giving them what I've been raised with. And she laughed so hard. She's 7 years old. She laughed so hard, and I'm like, what is so funny? And she said, Mom, there's so many things to do in the world. There's millions of things to do in the world. And you just want to sit in one property and do nothing and get away from everybody? She laughed so hard. She says, that's so funny that with all the millions of things to do in the world, you just want to get away from everything. And I thought that that was an interesting take. So I want to just say, you know, my process has been growing up in a family that fought about politics, which I thought was dumb in my single digits of life. Even in single digits of life, when my dad would say, quiet, quiet, the news is on, I remember thinking, oh, how sad, you know, that he buys so hard into this. So I fought from single digits of age against other people's realities. And, you know, I could hear angels since I was little, and they would tell me what was going on. And that's why I'm happier by myself talking to angels and people who've passed than I am listening to people like this soccer player scream, more love, less hate, as she also says, you know, I'm not going to the effing White House. So this is fanaticism. It's pure, straight fanaticism. And I understand that people are upset that their person didn't win the White House. And I understand that some people are under the impression that they think it's fact that the president is this or that. I do. I understand. And then they are reacting to that in hateful ways and calling it love. And my frustration is with why can't people see that they're the ones, you know, creating the hate? How can they not see? You know, Whoopi Goldberg with her t-shirt with Trump's brains getting blown out by a gun, like a gun to, you know, a picture of Trump's head with its brains getting blown out. And then she's like, I just hate the hate. I don't know where the hate is coming from. You know, it's like, wow, like you really, it's been frustrating for me. So I've fought the fighting, I fought the division, and then now I'm starting to see that see the beauty in the division, that people are finally like waking up, and people are getting pushed to a place where they have to figure out. So many people had to look into why would anyone vote for Donald Trump, and then they start looking into that, and then they start seeing, and the fanaticism on the left because they didn't get their person is waking people up, and it is turning people into, you know, they're looking at different sources, so they're doing their own research, blah blah blah. But I went from being angry with people fighting to feeling sorry for people fighting, and then to having compassion for people fighting. And I wasn't talking as a renegade yogi before I got blessed, forgive, respect the free will choices of, and love everyone in the fight. Bless them, I bless all, I forgive all in their fighting, I respect the free will choices of all in all directions of time, including myself, all the fighting that I did. Because even the fighting is fighting. So me getting irritated and angry with my relatives, even way back, became a pattern for me. I thought I was just frustrated, but I was fighting. I was fighting the fighting. But until I got the Renegade Yogi principles of bless, forgive, respect the free will choices of, and love, I couldn't see. I was in no place to tell anybody anything. I was in no place of teaching. So, moving through compassion, love plus understanding for people, why they fight, that's where I have been recently. Compassion for the fighting. I love people, and I have compassion, love, and understand. I understand why Megan and all these other people and Whoopi Goldberg, I understand why these people say what they do. I understand. When I didn't understand, I just learned more about the ego and learned more about, I meditated on it, and I saw how algorithms are creating these realities like in a block around each person's head, and that's their reality, and you cannot talk anyone out of their reality. What they think is true. They're just going to fight against it if you try. And that's why I post over and over, and I'll do it again, that In Shadow, which you can find on YouTube, just look up In Shadow, and it's 13 minutes long, and there's no words. And like Baba says, words are a minefield. It has this red glowing box that everybody's head gets put on. And that is exactly what's happening. And when I was depressed a long time ago, I'm not anymore at all. But when I was, my world was that big. It was so small. That red box around my head, that's all I could see. And I had a friend who said, depression's so stupid. Why would anyone be depressed? And I was like, don't ask that. It's not stupid. Your world is very tiny, and you just want to escape. It's tiny and awful, and you just want to escape it. And lo and behold, she ended up having a situation to deal with, which made her very suicidal too. So you have to be careful with the questions that you ask. She learned how anyone could be so stupid as to be depressed. So, you ask questions, you'll get the answers. The people that started saying, why would anyone vote for Trump? They started getting answers. And there's this guy, Lee Stranahan, that did like a 3-hour video that I'm sure is going to get taken down off YouTube. But he put all this stuff together with all these people saying actual quotes. So it's not like his opinions. He puts all this stuff together with, you watch, George Bush Sr. say New World Order, and you watch Henry Kissinger say this, and you watch George Soros say that, and you watch them all say it. Anyway, I went through the compassion stage, love plus understanding. That lessened the frustration for me of people fighting and they don't want to fight. I truly believe that the people who are fighting, they think they're fighting for something. I believe Megan, what's-her-face, is fighting for love more, hate less. And I believe the people who put hate has no home here signs in their yard truly believe they are fighting for something also. But the truth is they're just fighting. And when you fight, you bring more fight. And it's the law of attraction. And I used to think, why don't they teach this in school? So there's my fighting the way things are happening. And so I'm moving out of that stage, even though it's compassion to love Megan and understand, and love Whoopi and understand, and love all people and understand why they believe. Because there is a reason that the people who believe what they believe do believe what they believe. I truly believe that they don't want, and they don't see themselves. I don't think Megan sees herself any more than Whoopi does, any more than all these other people. Right? I believe that these people are seeing themselves in a different, their ego, the ego manipulates reality to make you safe, sane, and secure. And if these people, if all of these people actually, if everybody saw themselves the way other people see them, their most negative view of them, and they truly let that image in, I think they would stop in their tracks and rethink. But we are where we are. And what's happening for me at this moment, which is why I'm making this video, is I'm moving out of the stage of compassion. It doesn't mean I lose the compassion. I still remember the compassion. But as I find that what comes to me naturally when I meditate, and when I bring people into meditations on Sunday, and we bathe in our own divinity, and you're just like, okay, this is all I'm sure of. All I'm sure of is when I come into this space of being peace, being power, and the pure raw love, which is the ingredients for manifesting anything and everything. And all I'm sure of is that when I'm in alignment with my highest, holiest self, then what comes into my heart is nothing but peace, power, and pure raw love. When I'm in that space of meditation, and I just assume that the renegade yogis that come on Sundays, that show up and that do the meditations, they're getting to the same place where you're in that pure, raw, powerful peace. And the last thing you care about is your meat suit and the details and hurting anyone or screaming at anyone or fighting anyone. You don't even think of it at the time. And I feel like the more time we spend in that space, the more we raise our vibration, and the more we carry around that higher vibration, the more we positively affect the collective vibration. And the more we get there, the more we can watch the people who are still suffering under illusions of their own ego in the world right now, fighting and thinking they're fighting for something when they're just fighting. And then I read these books, and I'm finding that where I'm getting all on my own with my meditation, and all I know is when I come to this place, it feels good. And then I'm reading these books that are like giving context and words to why that feels right, and why what I'm getting in a different way. It's the basis of spiritual books. I don't have to judge it, and I don't have to change it, and I just have to let it be what it is. And looking at the people fighting in order to hold compassion, love plus understanding for them, is now holding me back. So at this point in my own growth, holding compassion by watching people suffer is now holding me back, because I want to go, where can I go now? So it's been great. It's been great being a frustrated youngster that rolls their eyes constantly at everything. And realizing that you could go through high school as a class clown instead of as a valedictorian. And realizing that you can, just set your compass to love and follow your own rules and end up making 6 figures as an airline pilot for United. And then you can lose everything. The love of your life, your mother, your house, your car. I know I'm forgetting something, and you can just lay on your floor and just beg to be killed for days, and just cry and cry and cry, thinking that you're going to die, and then end up in like the most beautiful life ever, supporting people on their own spiritual journey. So anyway, I love you guys so much. I love all of you, and all is done in love with love. And by moving through the stage of compassion, and by now changing, like moving my own goalposts to loving more, seeing more, being more in the world but not of it. It's just amazing. And we have a full moon tonight, 5:38 Eastern time anyway, Eastern Daylight Time anyway. I'm gonna get my papers out, my crystals, and I'm looking forward to moving to my own platform, because I feel like my vibration can't get any higher than it is now with my energy donated freely to Facebook. So I want to get my own place and then see how high I can get my vibration. I really want to see how high I can get my vibration in this life, and how high I can get other people's vibration through supporting them and what they want to do. And I just want everybody to just enjoy their journey. Oh, Chase. I love my life, and I love all of you in my life, and I can't wait to see how high we can go. All right? So, you can fight all you want. All you want, you can fight. You can fight with yourself. You can fight with anyone else. You can take sides in a fight. And I still bless, forgive, respect, and love you. But there's a lot of you now. You guys are all... I can feel you. There's a lot of you now that are getting it, and you don't want to fight, and you're looking for the tiniest seeds of fight. And you don't even have to pull weeds if you pull the seeds. I say, this is taking me towards a fight. So, I love you.